Good news, Tim Williams. Tim Williams was Player of the Week, so that's really good for the program. Definitely deserves it. Thought he had a great week, but it was a good win for New Mexico State, and we're trying to move forward. We're entering into a very tough, very competitive Anaheim Wooden Classic, which we're really fortunate to be invited to. So we're excited about that. We play the only game on national TV, ESPN, on Thanksgiving Day, so we're excited about that against Virginia Tech, which will be a tough contest. Buzz Williams is an excellent coach. Only coached against him one time when he was at Marquette. So they're really guard-oriented. They play four guards in Robinson, Bibbs, Clark, and Hill. Hill didn't play last year. He's he redshirted because of injury. And then they have Big C or Cy, however you pronounce it, 7-footer, played at Oak Hill. He's an excellent player. And then they come off the bench with Lede, a kid from Colony, Texas, that we recruited out of high school. He's an excellent low-post scorer. I think he's not starting just because he had injury in the preseason. So it'll be a tough test for us. We'll have to get better. We're looking forward to the test. It'll be a great challenge, and just basically concentrated on that game right now and Thanksgiving Day. So a unique tournament in that you play Thanksgiving Day and then you turn right back around and play on Friday. You're off Saturday and play Sunday. So first two games are at Fullerton, and then last game's at the Honda Center. So we're excited. We'll leave tomorrow. We'll practice here at 9 o'clock, and then we'll get out of here at on a 1:20 flight and get over there. So I think our guys are excited. I haven't seen them. They had a day off yesterday. So I'm sure they're excited to get back on the practice floor and try to get better.
Does your rotation change at all for an ACC opponent? I mean, you go 9, 10?
I don't think, I could play 12. I mean, I can't tell you that right now, but going into a 3-game tournament in 4 days, I can see us playing a lot of guys, different guys. I've been really happy with and confident in playing a lot of guys. Xavier Adams could be a big key to this game just because they only play the big kid they have about 15 minutes, and I just don't know matchup-wise if that's the best for us to do. So it might be a situation where Connor McDougal and X play a lot of minutes in this game just because of matchups. So we could play a number of guys. We could play, like I said, we could play as far as 12. And I'll go deeper just because we're trying to develop a bench. We're going to do that anyway. We couldn't do it last year when we played in Hawaii, but we can now. We will because of the 3-day tournament. But, the biggest thing is you got to win the first one. You can't win the tournament if you don't win the first one. So a lot of that will depend on how well guys play, but I'm just going to go into it like I have in the last 3 games.
Talk about the opportunity, like you mentioned, about being the only game on TV. You have a lot of eyes on this game, so the representation is key.
Yeah, it's good. It's one of those fortunate things. We got lucky. And we're very fortunate, and I think the guys at ESPN, with our relationships with some people in the room and some people that we've met over the years, that they took care of us, and we appreciate that, and we don't take that lightly. We appreciate that, and we try to do the best we can. As we've played in it 3 years in a row, and we're trying to get back into some more. But I think it's just a way we've built some relationships over the years that we're just fortunate.
So you are trying to get to further ESPN?
Yeah, we're going to try to get some. I know we won't in 2017, but we're going to sign. We're going to try to get signed until 2021 on tournaments. We're trying to get that as much as we can, just because of the scheduling is not very. It's very difficult right now, and we don't know what's going to happen with conferences. If conferences are going to go to 20 league games, the Big Ten's 20 league games now. The ACC's 20 league games now. There's talk the SEC is going to go to 20 league games, and there's talk that the PAC will go 20 league games. So if that happens, RPI games are going to be very difficult, so you have to get in tournaments where you can improve your RPI.
You guys have kind of had the full scale of these preseason tournaments, these exempt tournaments,
Yep.
the last 4 years. 4 years ago, Steve, last year was the Paradise Jam. You guys kind of used that as a launching pad to the season you had.
Right. And I think did UConn win it that year or the next year? We beat UConn in the finals at the Paradise Jam. They won that year, didn't they? Or the year before that? Well, Napier and Boatwright were both on that team, and so was Daniels. So they had a really good team that we hit a last-second shot against George Mason.
That kind of set up your whole season that
Right.
year. To the other extreme, which was last year, you guys go over.
Right.
So you've seen both ends of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
With all that in mind, how do you approach this from what you've learned maybe about these tournaments and the setup of them?
Well, I think you want to continue. I think you want to continue to play at a high level. I think we've improved every game that we've played to this date. So all we're doing is going in trying to play as well as we can and play better than we did against New Mexico State. It's just a different opponent, and we're not going to change much that we do. We just want to get better. If we can get better, then hopefully there's a good outcome.
And the guys don't know anything about day 2 yet. They're just Virginia Tech. I mean, the coaches do, but do the guys know much about
I don't think guys have forgot about New Mexico State, to be honest with you. They've got a little bit of Virginia Tech, and we'll really concentrate on it today. But I'm sure they know who's in the bracket and who they could play next, but not from us. There hasn't been anything from us.
A lot would have to happen for you to meet up with Steve at some point in the tournament. Is that
Be nice.
You would look forward to?
Yeah, because it means you'd get in a championship. So, that's the goal is to go down there and win it, or not go down there, go over there. Yeah, it'd be great for both programs, but I think it'd mean that we're playing each other in a championship, and I think we'd both take that right now.
You guys talk about that possibility at all?
We really don't talk about it. We'll talk about his team and how they're doing, and he'll talk about our team and how they're doing. Then we talk about the kids, and that's about it. But we don't really talk. The only conversation I had with him about Anaheim is where you're staying and if you're wearing polos. So that's about all I've had, because I don't want to go out there in polos and he's all dressed up, and I don't want him to get one up on me. So that's about the only conversation we've had.
You wearing polos?
Yes.
We're wearing polos. We're going to wear polos. But the only problem is there's a key to it. The Honda Center is cold because they have ice. So we've got some alternative outfits that we're taking just in case, and we don't know what Fullerton is yet. We're going to call Diedrich, the head coach there, and ask him if it's cold or not. But we've got some alternative arrangements for outfits. So we've got some long sleeve outfits and some short sleeve outfits, but I'm not taking a suit.
So Tim gets Player of the Week. I was surprised to see it was his first one, but does that maybe speak to just how
First one ever?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Does it speak to just kind of how steady he was last year?
Yeah, I just think he was real steady, but he's playing with a guy that led the league in scoring during league play. So I think that has a little bit to do with it. And I just thought, he had a great week, but he's probably had a chance to win it a couple times, and somebody just played better.
He's a guy that kind of epitomizes what you guys are trying to do in offense, in that you got to the free throw line last week a ton. He had 2 games with double-digit free throw attempts, which I think last year he only had 1 all season. Is there something different that he's doing, or is it just kind of...
I just think it's the rules. I think the rules play an effect. I think I don't want to state it wrong, but I think we're 3rd in the country in free throw attempts or scoring from the free throw line.
I know free throw rate, you're leading the country right now.
Yeah, but I don't talk about if we lead. We're doing well. We're doing exactly what we want to do and play inside out. And I think once Elijah gets going like he did in the second half, I think we'll even be a little bit more potent from there. But with the rules, it's hard to guard him down there. It's hard to guard him without fouling him. And we're trying to play that way. So, hopefully, the unique thing is I think we're shooting 72% from the foul line. And at the New Mexico State game, we missed 5 straight. And 5 straight meaning we missed 2 front ends and then another free throw. But if you miss a front end, to me, that's like missing 2 because you had 2 of them in your opportunity.
Well, like you mentioned, Elijah, especially this last game, how do you evaluate his movement away from the ball and how that...
It's good. That's the first game we put him in. We have an offense we put him in where he's got to make a lot of cuts, and I thought he was moving really well. And I think it also helps him that we have guys he doesn't have to play that many minutes. We can, and to his credit, and I want everybody to understand this, he has been terrific. When I've taken him out, he's been very vocal. He hasn't had an attitude. He's been very mature. He's handled it, and he knows why I'm doing it. And I think he understands that now. I think he's understood that because of his injury and like last year. So he's been unbelievable as far as handling that, which is not easy because all of them want to play 40 minutes, and it just doesn't happen. But I think he realizes, I just tell all of them, play as hard as you can for as long as you can. Then we got guys that can play we got other guys that can play, and I think that's been beneficial. But he's cutting really well. We were able to do some things against New Mexico State that we weren't able to do the other two games just because of his mobility, but he's getting there.
I feel like you guys are catching up really faster as far as how fast Jalen likes to play.
I think they're figuring it out because he's fast. If you watch our game against New Mexico State, they had a really hard time. And once we got the ball to him, when they tried to press us, he's hard to press. But they're getting there. I think our wings are running harder. I think O ran well. Connor can run. So we got to continue to improve on that.
When you look at the New Mexico State game, how much did you just see even from that first half to second half, just experiencing something, like experiencing the press and then how those guys handled it? Because then you can talk about it, you can show them film, but until you've been there.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is they experienced a lot of things a year ago that's going to help them for this year. I think we were able to make some adjustments in the second half offensively and against the press that they understood because they'd went through it. And one thing that I kept them in a while is I wanted them to figure it out. But they didn't seem to figure it out, so I had to make an adjustment, which that's part of coaching. But I think they know we'll see some pressure. Virginia Tech, they'll press us. And with Buzz having 4 days, they can end up changing how they play the whole game. So it's unique that I think they experienced it. I think New Mexico State played at a high level as far as their speed and pace, and it was good for our guys to see that. So it'll be good for us going forward that they experience that. Absolutely.
So what's the keys to beating Virginia Tech?
Well, you got to stop transition. We got to be better transition defense. We can't let them drive us. Our help's going to have to be extremely well. Our pick and roll defense is going to have to be very well. We're going to have to really rebound. And then we can't – what we did in the first half that we really didn't talk about, or I didn't talk about because I was trying to be real simple with our guys, when we take quick shots or we don't move the ball, that leads to fast break attempts, and we can't do that. We got to execute our offense. We got to move the ball. We got to change sides of the floor. And if we get the shots that we want, that'll eliminate a lot of transition. When we get to the line, if we make free throws – if we score baskets, that'll eliminate a lot of transition, and we're going to have to do that in this game. Yeah, he's ready to go. So he'll be in the rotation this week, and it's like I told you can't lose rotation minutes or where you are by injury or sickness. So he'll be full go. We'll see how he practices today. Hopefully he'll practice well today, and then he'll practice tomorrow, and then we'll be on our way. But that's my plan with him right now.
Craig, I thought that spark Joe gave you the first half. He got the building going. He was fired up. I don't know what you expected when you put him in, but I thought it was tremendous, just the energy.
Yeah, it's just like I talked about on Friday after the game. He was in the team bubble. It was all about team. He never complained, never had a bad attitude, was cheering his teammates on when he played 0 minutes. And then when his number's called, he went from 0 minutes to 12 minutes. But it was his energy, how hard he played, and if guys will understand that, you'll play more. And that's what I'm expecting out of everybody. You talk about it all the time in team sports. The really good teams is you got 12, 13 guys that star in their role. Well, you have a lot of kids that don't like their role. So if they don't want to star in that role, then somebody else is going to take that role. So we've had a couple issues where guys have gotten opportunities and they've taken advantage of it. And I think Joe is somebody I've always had confidence in. I told him the first 2 games I really didn't feel comfortable because they played 4 small power forwards, or they were really guards. That's really not a good matchup with Joe and Connor in together, Joe and Tim in together, O and Joe in together. That's not a really good matchup. And, I explained that to him, and he took it, and then he was ready to go because I told him, I said, your opportunity could happen on Friday because look at their roster. if Bular plays, they have Wilkins, they got Chua, they got Jones, they got the other Jones, and he was ready. And it's amazing what happens when you're ready and you play as hard as he played.
Nick Digo and Ajay again, they got in foul trouble again.
You love that part of it, don't you? I know, but the thing that you have to understand, you bring up a good point. That's why we need front court depth, because that's going to happen until they figure out the rules. But like the other day, you asked in the other press conference, and it's a great question. Were you worried about their production? Well, it's hard for them to produce when the other guys got 31 and 11. There's just not that many shots. If one of your front court players gets 31 and 11, what production can you expect from O and Connor? Are they going to get 10, 15, and I mean, there's going to be all your points. So, their production is going to vary depending on how Tim Williams does. But the fouls, I don't mind them fouling because I've got more players now. I got Joe, but I got 5 guys I can play at that spot now that I didn't have a year ago. And I just want them to be physical. I want them to continue to work on their game, but they also have to make adjustment to the rules. Now, I think we can go back, and I thought the officiating was great at that game. But we can go back and show different things, and I think it's both ways. I think they just have to figure out how they're going to call it. What Connor hasn't understood, and O does know, Connor doesn't understand they're going to get you on the second hit. No matter if they grab your arm, if they get you off balance, they're going to call the second hit. They don't always see the first one. It's like when you have sons that one of them's older and one of them's younger. And the younger one always wants to pick on the older one, then the older one pounces on him, and then you're yelling at the older one when it really was the younger one that started it. They don't always see that. It's always the second guy. So I think that's what Connor's got to figure out. It's not the second hit, but it's a concern, but it's not something that I'm really, really worried about because our depth.
Is that a Cullen Elton analogy?
I think it happens in all families. You can take it what it is, but we've had several of those.
Now that you're finally going on the road, is there a different way that you approach away games from home games just mentally?
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think they got to understand it's going to be more mentally tough for them. They have to be more detail oriented, even though they're at home, because our crowd gives us a 6 to 8 point benefit on playing against the other team being at home. I think our guys are comfortable at home now. I don't know if they were so much last year. But it'll be a good test for us to get on the road. I've been very fortunate. I've been here 10 years. It's 5th of how long the Pit's been here. But, Steve won 27 games on the road, and I've won 24 games on the road. So whatever we've been doing, it's been working. So we're just trying to keep our guys going in that direction, and that they're mentally prepared for it. And we try to get it all done before we get there. Because when you get there, there's a lot of stuff going on. You get there, you get them, we'll get them in there Tuesday. We'll take them to dinner, maybe let them go to a movie. And then you have the dinner with all the other teams. So there's a lot of stuff. So we try to get everything done before we get there. So it'll be a great mental test and see how mature our guys have become, see if they were able to handle it from a year ago. And it'll be interesting to see how our 5 newcomers handle it. But, that's the responsibility of our leaders. Our leaders have to explain how it's going to work, how we prepare, how you pack. I mean, we have it all orchestrated out on, what they have to pack, what they got to take, what events you have, what you have to wear at this event. So the leadership on the team has to have those 5 newcomers prepared to what's going to happen.
In that vein, this is different than regular road trip. I know ESPN treats these like a bowl game.
They do.
Events and so you, on a road trip, you go and you play a game.
Mm-hmm.
This one, there's all kinds of ancillary events. And so, obviously you've done it before. But
Right.
It's like this better than a regular road trip? I don't know if there's a Disneyland day involved.
There's a Disneyland day involved. I think they do. It's tough because it's unlike a bowl game and it's one game. This one you have 3 and 4 days. I think they like the fact that you get to interact with the other teams on Wednesday night. It's just a little bit different for us because how long do you stay, because you have to play at 1:30. So it's a little bit different in the sense I think they like it. I think they like that we're going out early, because if we went out on Wednesday, it's it's tough because you play a 1:30 game, and that's why we're going out on Tuesday. But I think they enjoy that part of it. But it's how much do you do and how much don't you do? Is that good for everybody?
Anything else?
What about Mathis? We haven't seen him. We saw him for 1 minute 2 games ago. We haven't seen him anymore. Is that just because you don't have?
No, I have confidence. I just don't. I have to figure out where to get him in. I mean, I've got 8 of them. I don't have a JV team, or I don't play 2 other games, and I mean it's tough, and you have to. It's tough, but I have complete confidence in him. I don't mind putting him in the game. It's just got to be where I can fit him in. I mean, you're playing behind a guy that's projected Player of the Year, and you're playing against a freshman kid that's really talented. Dane Kuiper hasn't played. You have Sam Logwood, who's a 3-year starter. So I mean, it's tough. It's tough, but I mean that's part of being with a good team.
I just thought with Brown getting cold, maybe stick him in, but
I stuck Damon Jefferson in, and he was pretty good.
yeah, he was.
He was pretty good.
Yeah.